Welcome back to Everlasting Summer. I believe this is finally part 40. This is a lot of episodes. Jeez. We're just hammering through them. We're almost done. There's apparently, after Ilyana's route, there's Semyon's route, which is, well, we'll see if we can do that. I don't know about that or not, but Miku's route and Yulia's route, the final one. And then we'll be done with Everlasting Summer. Sad. Actually, there is DLC that I'll come back to at a later date. But yeah, let's get on with the actual story. It was as if a pain settled in my chest. Whoa. What? I envisioned my old flat clearly, and a detestable burning started to make its way from my stomach to my throat. No, it was not wistfulness. More like a sad reminiscence. Because despite all that's happened, I felt more alive in less than 5 days here than I had for the last several years there. And now I really wasn't sure if I wanted to go back. Only one question still ate at me: how and why I ended up here. Just moving my microphone. That's why I just pause there for a little bit. It flared up yet again in my mind. I haven't spent much time seeking answers or even just thinking about my situation lately. My thoughts were occupied with everyday, routine affairs. And now, in order to break away and be able to wish to stay here for good, I need to understand the nature of this place. It's just that even a nightingale in a golden cage has a right to know how and by whose will he got in there. Oh, we haven't read this. I thought we had. And after that, to make the choice whether to stay or not. No, we have read this. I'm positive. I don't know how much longer I would have been devoted to existential thoughts, but Ilyana's loud snoring brought me back to reality. So small, but she snores so loudly. I sighed, put Ilyana on my back again, and headed to her cabin. I had no desire to explain everything to Alisa, so I just put the sleeping Ilyana on the porch, knocked at the door, and left quickly. I approached Olga's cabin with mixed feelings. On the one hand, I had done what I intended to do. I had comforted and entertained Ilyana. On the other hand, the two crumpled bed sheets in my hand looked more like rags left over from some worn-out straitjacket. I opened the door softly and went in. Semyon! Olga was sitting at the desk, and it seemed she'd been waiting for me. Do you want to explain something to me? Well, just don't scold her again. It's my fault. Just like that, I became a hero, to my own surprise. My tongue acted faster than my thoughts. Perhaps some of my best traits, which even I wasn't aware of, have shown themselves. Humanity as opposed to common sense. Really. Having started this, I chose to stick to my decision. Well, it was me who got the bed sheets, and I was standing behind a tree back then. Behind what tree? The camp leader looked at me in astonishment. So, what did you need bed sheets for? I realized my mistake. So, you're not talking about the forest thing. Semyon, I don't understand you. I wanted to know where you disappeared to so mysteriously during the hike, but now I would be interested in listening to your bedsheet story. But it was impossible that she, and all the others, hadn't seen Ilyana's performance. The pioneers laughing out loud couldn't have been only my imagination. Olga, I'm serious. Didn't you see someone in a bedsheet spring out at you recently? So, it was you? She gave me a close look. No, it wasn't me. Couldn't she tell just from my height? But you're holding the bedsheets. Yes. I couldn't understand if she was playing me for a fool, or if she really didn't know what this was all about. Olga, that's like this conversation never happened. I'm too tired to work. I'm too tired for today. Alright, go to bed. To my surprise, she readily agreed. Well, okay then. Of course, I was astonished by such a reaction, but I decided to use the moment. I wrapped the blanket around myself and turned to face the wall. But I couldn't sleep. There were no thoughts. My head was aching, but I still couldn't manage to sleep. I rolled onto the other side, and images of the day started to flash before my eyes. I shut my eyes tight to drive them away, but it didn't work. Suddenly, I heard a knocking at the window. Olga seemed to be asleep. I dressed myself and walked outside. Oh, Jesus. I was like, what the hell's knocking on our window? Liana was standing before me with a tricky smile. How'd you manage to carry me to the cabin? Wasn't it hard? Not really. What have you come for? I couldn't sleep, but at that moment, the bed seemed to be the only place where I could reside with no suffering, which is why Liana's sudden visit didn't please me at all. How was she? Did you get scolded? No, I avoided it somehow. That's great then. I always get lucky. That's for sure. My eyes began closing despite my will. Seems that slumber has finally come upon me. Look, I'm very tired. This won't take long. Close your eyes. It was the easiest thing to do, and I didn't even want to know what she needed it for. Maybe in that way, she would leave me alone sooner. I closed my eyes. Aww. R/R. And in that moment, I felt a brief kiss. My eyes opened by themselves, but Ileana was already running away, waving her hand to me. I stood still, benumbed, and I couldn't even imagine to shout anything after her. I don't know for how long I stood like that, but eventually the night chill cleared my stupor. I shivered and went back to bed. This time, I didn't want to sleep. I wanted to think it all through, but my eyes, which had begun to close as I was standing before Ileana, seemed to issue a command to the rest of my body, and I fell asleep before I realized what happened. Day 6? Yes! Ileana. This is second last day, right? I've done this 4 times now. Come on. I can't say that my morning was good. Okay. Instead, I woke up absolutely broken. The room was filled with a bright sunlight. Outside the window, birds were lightheartedly chirping. I reluctantly dragged myself into a sitting position and stretched. I slowly started to recall the events of the previous day. A trip, a silly ghost game, Liana falling asleep, and... aww. A kiss. I blushed immediately. It was so surprising that I'd been knocked out of reality for a while. The main problem is, how should I treat her now? Like a human being? At first glance, nothing special had happened, but... besides, she's the last girl in the whole camp from which one would expect such actions. Really? She seemed to me, at best, to be a little sister. Nothing more. But for her, apparently, I was more than a big brother. Though perhaps I just imagined all that, and there were no hidden meanings, deep motives, or allusions to far-reaching conclusions in this kiss. It was a kiss on the cheek! Come on, dude. Just an expression of gratitude. Unless the picture is deceiving and it was actually a kiss on the lips. Liana is definitely capable of extraordinary deeds, and could easily turn simple things into complicated ones. Says the guy whose mind is overthinking everything. Finally, I decided to put off the matter till the time I could meet her face to face. The clock showed 11, meaning Olga didn't wake me up for breakfast. However, I shouldn't worry. There wasn't much time left till lunch. Took my bag of washing accessories and went down to the water procedures. I didn't meet anybody on the way. Probably all the pioneers are busy with their own things. The place near the basins was deserted too. Just 5 minutes later, I again stood in front of the camp leader's cabin, thinking of what to do next. Nothing worthwhile having come to my head, I sat in the deck chair and possibly could have stayed there until lunch, but I was drawn from my trance by a familiar voice. Hi. I looked up and saw Slavia, who was smiling at me sweetly. Hi. You overslept again? Seems like it. Whoa, my voice. That's no good. Perhaps. And where are you going? What the? Where are you going? Actually, I was not really interested in Slavia's agenda for today, but I wanted to keep the conversation going. Well, I've got some things to do. I want to keep the conversation going. That sounds like he's interested in her. No, Semyon. This is Alisa. Eliana's route. I see. Silence followed. She was about to leave when suddenly I said, mind sitting with me for a while? Sure, why not? Slavia sat nearby. Something's worrying you, isn't it? No, why do you think so? I can read it on your face. She laughed softly. Not really. Although probably Slavia was right. Something really was worrying me. You're confirming that something is worrying you. Yeah, she's probably right. Obviously, I worried about last night's events. Listen, do you have any little brothers or sisters? I do. And how do you get along? Pretty well. She smiled widely. And you? No, I don't. I said after a short pause. So why are you asking? I don't know, just... Do you always understand them? I try to. Sometimes I just cannot make out what children want. Suddenly I stopped for a moment. Slavia doesn't know that I'm actually much older than I look. To her, I'm still a child myself. Those who are younger. Why? Well, I cannot always understand the motivations of their actions. They often behave illogically. Okay, there's Spock. Weren't you as old as them some time ago? She looked at me with surprise. Of course I was. At that moment it seemed to me that it had been a very long time ago. And when I looked at Eliana, that time turned into a gulf of years. Well, think of yourself at that time. I was different. And let me just say, at least it seemed like that to me. If so, good for you. Slavia laughed again. And you? Did you also do stupid things? Depends on what age we're talking about. Well, let's say the age of 14, for instance. I'm just gonna put up the image again that starts up with the game. 18. This is why I was actually looking forward to Eliana's route to actually confirm her age. Well, different things were happening, she said thoughtfully. Okay, that's nice, but it still doesn't make anything clear. Maybe that's the way it should be. Maybe. Slavia stood up, wished me goodbye, and left. I closed my eyes and fell asleep. The sound of the bell calling the pioneers for lunch woke me up. Although the sound was quiet and coming from far away, my body worked like a clockwork automaton. Automaton. Yeah. And in due time, I was standing near the door of the canteen. And that's where I met Eliana. Hi there. Yeah. I already ate. She laughed brightly and ran away. I didn't stop her. After all, I had nothing to say to her. Rude. I took a meal and was already heading to my favorite place in the corner when suddenly someone grabbed me by the hand. Sit down right here. Alisa's voice sounded menacing, but at the same time, somehow pleading. What happened? I've got something to discuss with you, she said with a slightly softer tone. Okay. I sat down next to her. So, what's the subject? You were there yesterday, when she played that dumb prank with the bedsheet. It was pointless to lie to Alisa. Yeah, I was there. That's... She laughed out loud. Why on earth did you do that? Oh, got her voice. No voice for Alisa. Alisa instantly became serious and gave me a level look. Why don't you ask her? No, I'm asking you now, so you have to talk. I don't know, I rasped. Or you better tell me. Why didn't the camp leader react? How should she react? I think you know. I looked at her skeptically. Well, she just did not realize who it was. Well, I must admit, Olga's deductive abilities leave much to be desired. And then, it was you who brought her back last night. Nope, Shakespearean elves did that, I said mockingly. What's the problem with that? No problem at all. Alisa stared at her plate and started to eat with concentration. Also, she ran off to somewhere during the night and came back in that happy mood. And? Don't you know anything about that? Even if I do, why do you care? She gave me an intense gaze. Well, I do care. I would have never thought that she could be concerned about someone besides herself. Nothing like that happened, if you'd like to know. No, it's not about that, Alisa replied shortly without looking at me. Probably it was a bad idea to bring up this subject. By the way, what's that like that? What do you mean? What you just said. What's that I just said? I tried to joke around to confuse her. Hey, listen to me. I'm watching you. Oh, I'm so scared. So scared. I said roughly, took my tray, and left the table. I definitely wasn't afraid of Alisa's words, even though they sounded like a threat. In fact, I was more interested by her concern for Oliana. I don't know, some friends or something. Of all the local inhabitants, she was surely the last one you would expect to worry about another person. I walked out of the canteen and into a real furnace. The sun blazed so ruthlessly that nobody could stay under its scorching rays. It was time to find some cool and shady place. And the beach seemed like the best place for this. Beaches aren't shady. No. No. I mean, there's a tree there, but the beach isn't shady. Slim shady. Oddly enough, the beach was not crowded. Perhaps most of the pioneers were scared of the scorching heat, or maybe they just decided to take a nap after lunch, or maybe they went somewhere shady. I didn't bring my swimming trunks, so I just sat under an umbrella and began to watch the swimmers. There was no one I knew, and it was better that way, as I had an opportunity to sit quietly and think. 5.5 days have already passed since my arrival, and what has changed? There were a couple of unexplained but completely harmless events, but all in all, it was just a regular pioneer camp. And this was making me even more frightened. What's going to happen next? Another day, another week. What's going to happen after the session's over? I've got nowhere to return to. Maybe in this time I hadn't been born yet. Or even worse. After thinking all this over for a few minutes, I went back to yesterday evening. Strange, but I worried about it much more than before. On the one hand, I wanted to say something to make the situation clear. But on the other hand, I avoided any meeting with Liliana by all means, afraid of making a fool of myself with a wrong word or gesture. I closed my eyes and dozed off for a while. Ooh, we never saw Lena in swimsuit. When I woke up, I saw Lena by my side. How long have you been sitting here? I asked in surprise. Not too long. Strange that she did not wake me up. Did something happen? I don't know why, but my sixth sense was telling me that she's eager to say something, but doesn't dare. No, what about you? Neither. You sure? Of course. I smiled. Then what do you want to talk about? Why would you think I want to talk? It seems like it. Then, not really. A long silence ensued. Do you have any little brothers or sisters? No. What about you? I don't. So why would you ask that? Sometimes I think that I don't understand children at all. Me too. Lena's face didn't express anything. But it's probably got to be like that. What do you mean? How should I treat them then? Treat them the way you think is right. Well, that's the whole idea. I don't know what is right and what is wrong. The more you think about it, the more you'll regret the mistake. Well, that's true, but it doesn't help. I was somewhat surprised by such profound words from Lena. Of course, she said all that with a trace of shyness, or modesty, and without inappropriate openness, but still. Mean that I should follow the first idea I get off the top of my head? I laughed. As the saying goes, your first thought is the right one. Do you believe that? I don't know. We sat there for some time, then she stood up. Well, I've got to go. Thanks for the conversation. Don't mention it. Lena smiled faintly. I lay down and stared at the burning sun. Your first thought is right, huh? And what if my first thought was to kiss her back? Come on, Semyon. By the way, what was the first thought that came to me at that time? I thought the first thought was to kiss her back. I tried painfully hard to remember, but nothing worked. Not even scraps of thought surfaced in my brain. Well, you were tired as hell. However, in that situation, I could only follow Lena's advice, since it all happened so suddenly. The sun was setting slowly, so I wrote, you're probably a tomato at this point, dude. So I rose slowly, so I rose and went towards the canteen, as my stomach told me that even the participants in such a fantastic story should have regular meals. Somebody called me to the square. It was electronic. He ran up to me, caught his breath, and said, Semyon. Yeah, that's probably me. Take it. He handed me some kind of key. What's this? It's the key to our clubhouse. And why would I want it? Olga asked me to, considering that I will be not returning there today. So give it to Shirk. He has his own business. So take it yourself. I can't. Why not? Listen, just take it. Why would I need it? What am I gonna do with it? You'll give it back to me later. Listen, wait. Why can't he hold on to the key? Well, I have to go. He shoved the key into my hand and ran. No matter how you look at it, he's definitely strange. However, I didn't pay significant attention to this event and just put the key in my pocket. I got to the canteen even before dinner. Fortunately, it was already open, but no food was being served. I took my favorite seat in the farthest corner and concentrated on playing with a toothpick. Now they're not serving anything. You still have that background noise of like the plates being like forks on plates and stuff. Soon I got the feeling that someone was standing next to me. I raised my eyes and spotted Olga. 'Cause I don't have peripheral vision. Oh god, those sounds are too realistic too. I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't be realistic, but still. I keep thinking, because the kitchen's really close to this room, my media room for recording and all that. So, I keep thinking someone's in there, and it's like, it's 2 a.m. Ain't nobody up. We just stared at each other for some time. Sup, bitch? Do you need something? Finally, I broke the silence. You know, Semyon, sure, I understand everything, but what? I asked, surprised. Did you think I didn't notice your absence last night? Absence is quite an overstatement. I'd rather say I just went out for a moment. Well, so what? What's the matter? I thought that was nothing too, but I was determined to check. The camp leader's expression was increasingly heading towards a frown. So, have you checked? I still couldn't understand what she was up to. Yeah, I checked. And you know what? For a true pioneer, it's just unacceptable. It's shameful, disgraceful, especially with her. She flushed red with Oh, she thinks we went and that's why we needed bed sheets. Oh. Yeah. I don't even want to hear your pitiful excuses. Vague idea of what she was talking about dawned on me. So, what happened? Would you care to explain? And now you got the nerve to play innocent. You, with Ilyana. Now it all became crystal clear. I've got two things to tell you. First, I started getting steamed up. Nothing of that sort happened there. And I'm the last one who has any relation to this situation. And you think that. Second, I rudely interrupted her. Who told you that? In fact, the answer was obvious. Ilyana would not do that, and if she had decided to once again play a trick on me, she would have done it much earlier. From the time spent here, I'd begun to understand her well. And that leaves only one possible candidate. Why does it matter? No, it does. Would you care to explain your behavior then? Olga seemed to be taken... Olga... Don't record at 2 AM, Artemis. Olga seemed to be a little taken aback by my vehemence. There's nothing to explain. I quickly got up and headed for the exit of the canteen. Semyon, wait. I heard the camp leader's weak prattle behind me. If you act decisively with her, then she is not that confident. So now I have to get things straight with Jabacheskaya. Oh, he didn't even bother with Alisa. Oh, he's pissed. Ooh, we got badass over here. Well, her pranks hadn't concerned me, or only concerned me indirectly. I could bear it. Just thinking about it, I'd even started to consider her not such a bad person. Are you still talking about Alisa here? I met Slavia at the square. Do you know where Alisa is? Yes, I do. What's the matter? Just tell me. My words sounded obviously rough, but it seems that she didn't pay it any attention. She's at the music club. Bam! Slavia was right, and I met Alisa near the music club. However, she was accompanied by Miku. Mind explaining yourself? I didn't waste time on pleasantries. No, what makes you think so? Alisa gave me a cute smile. Aw, a cute smile. So kawaii. Oh, Semyon, hi. How nice to meet you. How nice that you're here too. Maybe then three of us can play something. I have a new song and, you know, and it's so funny. I'm sure you'll like it. I promise. Doing her route's gonna suck. I like Miku. I think she's really cute and all that. I love saying her name, Miku. Miku. It's so cute. But doing her voice is just no. Or we can choose something old. Miku interrupted the conversation. Could you just... no. What? She looked at me with the smile of an uncomprehending child. From that moment, I understood what exactly she had in her mind. Little rabbits, teddy bears, pussycats, but no sign of intelligence. I need to talk to Alisa. I said in a tone that brooked no disagreement. Okay, maybe later. Oh, look at her face. It looked like she was upset. Though I didn't care. I do! So, I don't understand what you mean. That was not her voice. Alisa said, offended. And anyway, I have to go. She turned around and got ready to leave. Oh, the good thing I opened up the guide before I started, because try to stop her verbally gives us our final plus. Wait, one of our the second last plus, positive. Point for Ilyana's route. Hey, not so fast. But we're gonna end this here. We'll see how this plays out the next one on Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.